Hello, and I want to welcome you all to Module 5, Consequential Ethical Theories. This week we will be continuing our critical thinking application model by applying Act Utilitarianism, to the case. This will build off of the work you did last week in the identification, research, and analysis portion. So what you've done last week is you posed a main moral question. That's your should or what should question about what your decision maker should do to resolve the ethical dilemma in the case. And you've come up with 4 options for that decision maker to take and how those options may affect each other stakeholder in the case. Please check my feedback if I've asked you to tweak your options, because it's important. If the options weren't good, we need to fix them before moving forward, because now we need to see what option the Act Utilitarian would take. And so to do so, please follow the instructions here in this module. Go over them carefully. I'm going to briefly go over the expectation and then show the example, but make sure that you look at these yourself in full detail, because you're expected to adhere to everything that's in these instructions. This is going to be a 3-part analysis in this section, where you're going to have a discussion of the theory and its application process in 6 to 8 sentences. No direct quotes, paraphrase from the theory. We've been having some issues with our paraphrasing as a whole. Keep in mind that whenever you speak about a specific from the theory, you have to document that, because you did not create this theory. You haven't done your own independent research and been published on this theory. So when you say something specific about the theory, you put a citation for that, and you make sure you provide that explanation in your own words, like a paraphrase. Then you cite it. When you're speaking about what that means, that's your own ideas. You don't have to cite those. There should be a healthy balance of the two. But as it says in this paragraph, you need to kind of summarize and explain the theory of Act Utilitarianism and its application process in one solid paragraph. The application part is important, because that's what we're going to do in step 2 of this assignment. So the first step is the discussion of the theory and its application process. Then the second part is the application of the theory itself. And that's what it shows you in the chapter, how to apply, Act Utilitarianism through the concept of like net utility, right? And then in the third part of this assignment, it's the conclusion paragraph, where you're going to state what the best option the decision maker should choose from Act Utilitarianism would be, and then explain like how you got there through net utility, and be impartial, avoid bias. This isn't a personal opinion. This should be mathematical, right? According to the theory. Here are the drop-box rules. We're going to use full APA formatting, including title page and references page, double space the entire document, Times New Roman, 12-point font, formal academic writing, presented in third-person perspective. I don't want any first person, I, me, we, us, our. We don't need any of that for this. Keep it academic. Consider the example that I'm about to show you as, an extension of the instructions, because I'm looking for your assignment to look like that one. And then attach the submission as a Word document. Review your Turn-It-In report. This is important. If you're seeing word-for-word pieces getting highlighted that come from other sources, revise that and turn it back in. Keep in mind that you're going to have some overlap with your classmates with some of the explanations of like the decisions or whatever. So if yours, Bob should do such and such is highlighted, that's okay, because you guys will have overlap. What I'm looking for is big chunks of the theory that you took straight from the textbook and inappropriately, okay? So what you're going to want to do, you got your 40-point rubric down here just to show you the breakdown of the points. I recommend looking at that. But excuse me. We have the assignment here and how it's broken down. This is a downloadable Word document that you could just download, open, and use. A nice clean title page. And then when we get to the first section, it tells you what to do here. I want it headings just like this: applying Act Utilitarianism 1A. And then you just start your paragraph after an indent here. And this is where you explain the key concepts of the theory, and how you would apply Act Utilitarianism. To start off 1B, you're going to restate in bold that central ethical issue question from the previous assignment. So your should, what should question should just be on a line right here by itself, bolded. So should Bob leave his wife for cheating on him, whatever, right? And then you're going to have this chart exactly how it looks here, because you'll see in the textbook, there's a scale of happiness +10 to -10, and that's how we figure out our net utility of options. So you're going to use this kind of chart here, options 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you need to fill in your options. Bob can do nothing. Bob can divorce his wife. Bob can get separated. Bob can report wife to the ethics board. If you just leave it option 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to lose points. Those are placeholders. You need to fill in what those options are. Same thing here, stakeholder 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to write out who these stakeholders are. And as you'll see in the textbook, you need to talk about how many people are in that stakeholders group. These are just arbitrary numbers I've put in, because what you have to do is consider first the net utility. So option 1 to stakeholder 1 is a -7 on that scale of +10 to -10. But there's 2 stakeholders. So -7 times 2 is -14, right? And we do that for all the options for stakeholder 1, and we go to stakeholder 2. If your stakeholder is only one person, you don't have to do the multiplication process, because as we've known since elementary school, anything multiplied by 1 is itself. So it's a waste of effort, right? So this just shows the different options: -7, -5, +4, -7, etc. Stakeholder 3, I did this one by 3 people. Stakeholder 4, I did by 12. So for each stakeholder, just write out who the stakeholder or stakeholders are for that category, and then in parentheses, just the number of people that are affected. And at the end, you will tally up horizontally the net utility for option 1. So this is option 1 for each of the 4 stakeholders has a net utility of -9, option 2, 29, option 3, -12, option 4, 15. These are all arbitrary. They don't go to anything real. But as we would know from the textbook and what we're going to speak about in class, the highest net utility is the right answer. So that would be whatever this option 2 is a net utility of 29. So that would be the Act Utilitarian option, okay? So then in the third section, 1C, you're just going to have a good paragraph of 5 to 7 sentences explaining the best option according to Act Utilitarianism. What should the decision maker do if they were truly Act Utilitarian? Start this paragraph by saying, if Bob were an Act Utilitarian, he would do nothing about his wife's cheating. Is probably what that chart would say. And then explain why the utilitarian theory got you there, why that's the morally best thing to do. I'll be looking for stuff about it has the highest net utility, your explanation about how, even though Bob is negatively affected, the rest of the people are more positively effective, and it's about the greatest number for the greatest good, etc., etc. You don't have to cite the textbook here for support, but if you do use something specific about the textbook, you do have to cite it again, okay, in this section. And then you'll have your references page with a properly formatted APA citation from the textbook, okay? If you do not cite the textbook anywhere, if you do not provide a textbook, you're going to get a 0 on this. There's no way you can do this assignment without, using information that either came from the textbook or came from me, and the information that I'm giving you came from the textbook. So if you do not support the textbook, cite the textbook, sports textbook, give me citations, give me a reference, you're going to get a 0 because that's plagiarism, okay? So make sure you do that right. And if there's any questions about that, please contact me. So to go over this one more time, real simple. First paragraph, summarize the theory, key concepts, key terms, and the application process for Act Utilitarianism. 1B, apply the theory. So you're going to restate in bold your ethical question that you came up with in your identification section. You're going to create this chart where you fill in your options and your stakeholders. Now remember, this number is based on what you see, but try to be objective, try to be fair. Don't manipulate these numbers to come up with an answer that you think is correct, because I'll know if you're doing that and I'll mark you down, because I already know what the utilitarian option is for your options based off of doing this a lot, okay? And then in section 1C, just explain the option and why that's the best one, okay? And then if there's any questions about it, obviously email me, but this is building off of the previous modules assignment, so it's imperative that you incorporate any feedback I give you before you submit your final version of this. And then that will complete this section of the critical thinking application process. And next week, we will be repeating this, similar model, but for applying Kant's deontology. And so after this module and the next, we'll have those two separate options that we're going to evaluate in the final section. Okay? So good luck on this. Get started early. Work diligently on it, and email me if you have any questions. Okay? In the meantime, good luck, and happy working, and let me know if you need anything. All right? Bye.